Okay, so I am recording. We're recording a recap of what happened last time because I was a goober and didn't think to check the sound levels on my OBS and didn't see that I wasn't recording audio from my computer until after I saved. So none of our audio from this game is usable. Great.
So the video is just going to be really boring to watch.
Yep, so we're not going to use that video. Instead, Cody has some free time, and the two of us are going to sit down and just recap what happened in the game from memory to the best of our
Abilities.
Yes. Okay, so we started off. You guys had just left the forest cabin, or you were in this forest cabin. Vanitas tried to pickpocket a dude. You tried to pickpocket Taino, the troll guy, and
Yep,
he caught you, and you guys were having like a standoff, staring at each other. At which point, his daughter walked up behind you and tried pickpocketing you, and you caught her. And eventually, you guys were like, "All right, everyone,
wasn't sneaky enough.
everyone, just put down your money and walk away."
Drove a hard bargain, but I went with it.
Yeah, that was fun. So we did that. Harshnag invited you guys up to their castle, their floating castle, for drinks and to discuss a proposition. So while he was off getting Zephyros, you guys were kind of left to your own devices in this grand hall. We went over the huge scale of this castle. Everything is 3 times as big as normal in every dimension. So the ceilings are like 30 feet high instead of like 10 feet high. And it's not like a castle. It's more like a nice high-end home. So this is not a grand hall so much. It's just like a nice foyer.
It's
but
like a McMansion.
Yeah. It does have pillars, and it has these nice floating magical chandeliers. Hogard was interested in these chandeliers and decided to investigate them while waiting for Zephyros to get back. So he got on Gimble's back, and Gimble tried to stretch him up towards them. Gimble...
His little bendy legs couldn't carry
Yeah,
him,
Gimble's
so
tiny little Stretch Armstrong legs couldn't carry him, and Gimble fell over. Hogard caught the pillar and was just kind of hanging there like a koala, still like 20 feet away from the light when Zephyros and Harshnag walked in. Hogard started a conversation up with Zephyros about these lights, and the two of them hit it off immediately, and Zephyros was like carrying him around, showing him the lights. Zephyros was talking all magic because he's a wizard. Hogard was talking mechanics because he's a mechanic. But they were able to find some common ground between the two, which is physics, because magic utilizes physics, mechanics utilizes physics. So like whether you're doing a spell or like building a catapult, you need to know how gravity works, how air pressure works, stuff like that.
Unless it's an anti-gravity spell.
You still have to know how gravity works to cast the anti-gravity spell.
The opposite of how gravity works.
Right. You have to know how gravity doesn't work. So, Hogard gets very, immediately becomes very close with Zephyros because of this. And they have a good time greeting each other. Sabek and Harshnag kind of, bond over being
silent and broody.
Silent and broody.
Silent and broody.
Yeah. That's how I was gonna put it. So once everyone's caught up and introductions have been done, the two giants take you guys to the library, which again we do a description of how big the room is. We talk about all the cool library books that are around the room, and we ask how you guys want to get up to the table because the chairs are like the seat of the chairs are like 6 feet off the ground. And so Hogard had it easy because Zephyros was carrying him like a little cat and just kind of put him down on the table. Sabek, in a move that I particularly enjoyed, used his greatsword like a pole vault and just shot himself up onto the chair. Lunara climbed the backs of the chairs like a tree. And Vanitas just flapped on up. And
here's your reminder. Do my workout.
Alexa.
There was a reminder to do your workout.
There was.
And Gimbal kind of like slingshotted himself up there with his stretchy powers.
Stretcher Armstrong style.
Yep. So I'm gonna have to pull up my notes. I don't remember this next bit off the top of my head. I mean, I don't. They talked about a lot of significant stuff.
They did. This was the like the mission briefing.
Yep.
Should you choose to accept it?
Mm-hmm. So first things first, we got some very significant world building that kind of explains basically like the root cause of the campaign conflict. Jesus, cats. So basically they start by asking what you guys know about giants and get to the point that like giants have just been wrecking shit all over the place and nobody knows why. Except that these guys do know why. And the reason is because the ordning broke. And so they talk about what the ordning is, which is this kind of feeling that all giants have inside, in the same way that a lot of people would argue that all humans have a basic fundamental like biological sense of morality inside themselves that tells themselves that doing certain things is wrong because it's bad for, you know, the society as a whole. Giants have this intuitive understanding of giant society that says that, you know, like frost giants are allowed to interact with fire giants in this way, and these are the honorifics they have to use, and that, you know, like, as a frost giant, you don't question that a storm giant gets to be your leader because it is just a fact of reality. It's part of yourself that storm giants are just like, not that they're better than you, but that they are the people who lead, and frost giants are the people who fight, and like all this stuff. Like, these are just facts of life that you acknowledge because of the ordning, which is part of yourself. The ordning broke, and nobody knows why it broke. But now that it's gone, none of the giants feel like they have to listen to any of the other giants, or, you know, have to obey these societal rules that they've all obeyed for hundreds of years. And so it broke out into anarchy. There's civil war. Each of the different clans are fighting amongst themselves and amongst each other to get to, like, vying for power. And they explain a little bit of what they know about what's going on, but they don't really know too much of what's going on either, because all the different giant clans are being closed-mouthed with them and don't want to explain what's going on. Harshnag and Zephyros also both explain that neither of them are like active members of any giant societies, because they've kind of been kicked out or have like left both of their giant tribes, clans, whatever. And the other thing they talk about is, well, where can we go from here? What can we do about this? And so Zephyros has explained that in his research, he has learned about a place called the Eye of the Allfather, which the Storm Giant Lords have historically consulted, but has been kept secret from giants, like all of giant society, for all of history. Almost nobody knows about it, but it is allegedly this great, like, oracle or divination device. Like, it's not really clear. It's some kind of thing that you can go to, and it will answer your questions. truthfully, and it seems like it should know basically everything. Or if it does
Follows
have
the
limits of
logic
its
of-
knowledge, it's not clear what they are.
Follows the limits of Odin.
Yeah. So, Zephyros's plan is he wants somebody to go in there, talk to the Eye of the Allfather, ask some specific questions, and kind of figure out what's going on. He was going to send in Harshnag, who's a great warrior, but is kind of uncomfortable sending him in there without backup because they don't know what kind of traps and defense mechanisms and sentries or whatever could be in this. So the Eye of the Allfather is both the name of like the divination device and the temple as a whole, I think. So they want some backup to go in there. And the other thing they kind of sweeten the pot with to get you guys interested is they mentioned that this is a fancy temple used by royalty. It probably has some nice like treasure and stuff in it, and they don't really feel particularly compelled to say that, you know, you have to like honor that and like leave it where it is, because there's freaking anarchy all over the place and the king isn't doing anything to stop it, and they don't know why. So they say, you know, fuck it. If we're going in there and we're fixing this problem for them, yeah, you get to keep whatever gold vases or whatever you find.
That we can carry.
That you can, well,
Because
Harshnag can carry some of it for you. So that's the first thing, is he offers you the reward of whatever treasure you can find there, and he also offers you answers, which to some people is even more important. What did you say?
The reward of information.
The reward of information. So especially for people like Sabek and Wex, who like are basically their personal quests are trying to solve mysteries, that should be very valuable.
Exactly.
So everyone was like very excited about this possibility. Well, Sabek isn't excited about anything, but they all kind of got on board and agreed. Then we had this, so everyone's on the same page. We're all happy. Harshnag asks if you guys, you know, are ready to be shown to your rooms and like go to sleep for the night. First, Hogard asks Zephyros to show him around the library and show him some of this collection of books from the small people. Whenever we talk about like small people or little people, we're talking about just humans and elves and dwarves and stuff. Basically anyone who's not giant. So Zephyros.
And
yes.
These books were located on the top shelf,
Yes.
which we were in earlier.
Yeah, and there's just like tons of them because they're so little that he can just stack them.
Okay.
So Zephyros shows Hogard around, and Hogard finds a few books. He finds a book on like mechanics. He finds a book on chemistry, which he studies and is able to deduce how to make alchemical arrows from that. Speaking of which, I need to write up alchemical arrow rules. So he finds that, and the other thing he finds is a book to Fundamentals of Magic, which is not like Magic 101. It's more like theory of magic. Like it's very heady theoretical stuff. But by studying it, Hogard will get the basics of what he needs to understand in order to be a wizard, which is going to come into play like several games from now. When you guys get your next level up, Hogard will be able to multi-class into wizard because of that. Harshnag brings you guys all upstairs and asks where everyone wants to sleep. Vanitas and Nugget are sleeping with the Griffins. And then we have this fun scene where there's only 2 beds in the bedroom that he shows you. But each of the beds is 3 times the size of a normal bed in every direction. So if a normal bed is... I mean, what's a normal bed? Is it like 7 feet
depends.
long, maybe, and 4 feet wide, something like that. Maybe 6 feet wide for a king,
Yeah.
something like that. So, let's say that means that it's 6 feet wide becomes 18 feet wide, and 7 feet long becomes 21 feet long. So we've got this like massive, like half the size of a regular person's room, kind of bed. Maybe even
I'm actually pretty
more
sure
than
that's
that.
bigger than that's like a master bedroom size bed.
Yeah, it's a pretty big fucking bed. Anyway, so they've got these massive beds. Oh, and also, what do you think a regular bed is? Like 3 feet off the floor, maybe, because it's usually at like hip level for me. That's where I keep mine
yeah,
at anyway.
Mine's about 2.5 feet, 3 feet.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you then triple that. So these beds are 9 feet off the floor.
Which means
And Harshnag basically just leaves you guys to like figure it out. So we're ignoring Wex because he wasn't able to make it tonight. So Lunara just scales up the side of one like a
spider monkey.
yeah, yeah. Gimbal and Hogard, I don't remember how they get up there, but they make some jokes about how they're like begrudgingly going to. Oh, Hogard finishes getting his book and then goes up and meets them. They make some jokes about how they're like begrudgingly going to share a bed, and it's like, guys, yes, technically you're sharing a bed, but also this is a bed the size of a bedroom, and so I made some jokes about how they were going to end up like spooning all night anyway.
Probably.
It was very fun scene. I liked it. Vanitas decided to sleep with the Griffins, and Sabek apparently sleeps standing up with his eyes open.
Which is terrifying, but it's kind of Sabek's MO is being terrifying.
Right. Zephyros goes and sleeps in his bedroom with his boyfriend, husband, Harshnag. The next
Whatever
morning,
giants call themselves.
Yeah. They're very modern.
Well, not mate, I guess, technically speaking. But then again, I don't know how giants reproduce.
Who knows? So the next morning, Zephyros goes downstairs and starts cooking breakfast, and the noise and smell from that is what kind of wakes everyone up.
Did Vanitas get his first high five or his first concussion before or after?
Fuck.
Because there was an epic
no,
high five.
it was when you guys were in the library. When you guys were in the library and you accepted the quest to go to like find the Eye of the Allfather, you flew up to give Zephyros a high five, and you ended up just slapping him in the face. And Harshnag was like, "No, he's not assaulting you. This is how mortals, seal deals. Let me show you." And then Zephyros gave you a high five, which just sent you flying across the room.
Harshnag, yes.
Harshnag
And
did. I'm sorry.
Slammed into the wall.
Yeah,
Wow.
so good.
Giving epic thumbs up.
Yep.
And accepting this quest on my behalf.
So, I know Sabek and Gimbal went downstairs and Gimbal was helping Zephyros cook breakfast. We'll get to that in a second. Sabek was kind of just standing there.
Pretty sure Vanitas was stretching his wings, flying around with Griffins.
You were out here flying with the Griffins.
Hogard was catching up on his Z's because he decided to read his book.
Because he stayed up all night reading, yeah. Okay, so Zephyros is cooking this comically oversized meal where like instead of cooking bacon, he's just cooking freaking whole pigs and stuff like that. And Gimbal is giving him like advice on what kind of food little folk like, except because Gimbal was freaking raised by wolves, he's like, "Oh no, the intestines, that's the best part of the pig. Lots of nutrients in there. Just stick those aside on a bowl." And so Zephyros makes like these really nice dishes for himself and Harshnag with like massive like pigs to eat for breakfast, and he has like a breakfast salad made with these like oversized like ferns where their leaves are like a foot wide and all this stuff. And then the food he makes for the little people is just this like disgusting thing that basically Gimbal cooks for him. And
it's basically just bowls of slop.
Yeah. So when we actually get to the breakfast, everyone has to like basically has to like cannot eat the food that they're given, and they have to ask to get a helping of what the giants are eating instead.
Yeah.
Um,
Vanitas may have flown outside and grabbed a fish with griffins.
oh right. So this other thing that happened before you guys have breakfast is Lunara heard some noise coming from the armory, and she goes to investigate, and she finds out that Harshnag is in there. He's got this
And
entire
he
room.
is a big hunka burning dream.
Yes, he's got this entire room full of like weapons and armor and like all of his like armory, but he also has his gym in there, and he's out there like cranking the weights, getting swole. You know, as giants are wont to do.
Getting them gains.
Yeah. I'm missing some people. Oh yeah, this was the point at which Vanitas tried to fly into the kitchen, but the window was closed. And
window.
I'm pretty sure you were hoping to just like smash through the window and shatter it.
There was actually the mindset was there was no window
Oh right.
because it was so clean. They used
Yes.
that good Windex.
So you had the bird hitting glass phenomenon, except this is giant's glass, so it didn't even give, and you just
And-
like splat against it and slide down. So that's
Back to
concussion number 2.
2 days. Pretty
Yep.
sure that's not healthy.
And Zephyros gives you a hand and helps you inside. You guys all have a nice breakfast. I don't know what happened like later that day. Ugh. After a bit, no, this is chapter 4. I need journey.
The breakfast was our in-game question.
Oh fuck yeah! Your in-game question that you rolled was, has your character ever been in love, and how did it turn out? And so, let's see if we can. What of these we can remember?
So,
Hogard. Hogard said that he had been in love with like a lady from his dwarf tribe, I think, but she was in love with somebody else. Does that sound right?
it was either that. I think it was that, or I think he might have said she died, or that might have been my morbid imagination. May have been she was in love with somebody else.
So Lunara said that she can go for both boys and girls, but the only
She had a crush on an elf boy in her village.
the only like close crush that she ever had was with a guy that she grew up with, but she had been so like belittled by her family that she, you know, didn't feel confident in herself and didn't feel like worthy or whatever, and never acted on it. Gimbal talked about how there was a wolf in his pack that he had the hots for.
And Marisi.
And Marisi. That was the important one, is that he's deeply, desperately in love with Marisi, and it will never
And it's
stop.
unrequited.
Yes.
For now. You never know what happens at the end of the adventure.
So, Sabek wasn't willing to say, but he did confess to us later that he, not romantically, but he, you know, really loved his brother and sister growing up in his tribe, and
they were taken away.
his whole
village.
village disappeared while he was off being experimented on, and so he kind of like lost them because of that. I actually can't remember Vanitas's.
Vanitas had a crush on an elf girl who had helped him out when he was stuck on the streets before he was
Right.
taken in.
But he,
And part of being taken in by the monks was he had to give up on that.
right. That was very good. And Zephyros and Harshnag, of course, are with each other. Okay, so that happens. The next thing that happens is a couple days later. Damn it, not that one. A couple days later, you guys are flying. One of you guys is up on the towers, which are like the watch post, and they have these telescopes.
Yep.
Um,
Gimbal.
Okay. good memory. Yeah, Gimbal was up there, and he spotted this airship passing.
No, no, not yet.
No?
Nope. He spotted. Wasn't the dragon first?
Nope. Dragon was second.
Oh, that's right. Okay, I remember
Okay.
what we're talking about now.
So he spotted this airship. We're labeling it. I'm using the pop-up for Dragon Cult airship, but actually it's just a merchant's airship. And while you guys were, so those guys came over. They were, very nice merchants. And they, wanted a chance to just kind of take a break and speak with somebody for the first time in a few days. And also had some wares that you guys were welcome to buy if you were interested. So, you guys had the option of some healing potions, some kind of like buff potions that we haven't seen in the past. Like there's a potion of resilience that lets you reroll failed saves. There's a bead of mage's armor, which is perfect for monks and barbarians because if you're not wearing armor, it increases your AC by 3. And then you've got some stuff for protection against elements and flaming arrows. So, everybody already did their own inventory management, but we had, a couple people buying health potions, more health potions. Several people bought mage armors. I think that was both of our monks. Yeah.
Yep.
And Aeneas bought a bunch of flaming arrows. And you guys all spent like a good chunk of change here. Yeah.
And we figured out how much Vanitas' gambling problem actually affects his...
Yes. So hopefully you guys have good amount of supplies that will get you through this upcoming dungeon. Now, the next day, or one of the future days after that happens, somebody is up on the tower watching again.
Pretty sure it's still Gimbal.
Sure. Was it Gimbal or was it you?
It was Gimbal because he whispered in Subex's ear.
Oh, I thought it was you that did that. But okay, yeah. So Gimbal is up on the tower. He's looking at the horizon, and he spots this like blue speck on the horizon. He looks at it with the telescope, and he sees that it's some kind of big, ugly dragon. He comes down and tells Sabek.
A big blue ugly dragon.
Big blue ugly dragon. He tells Sabek, and Sabek immediately, goes into a not a rage, but he gets all worked up, and he says like, to arms, and
battle cry.
Yeah, gets everybody all ready for a big battle, and then you all get out and you look over there, and the thing's freaking like 100 miles away. But we get an opportunity where the giants kind of talk with each other and with you guys, and you get a little bit of information about these kinds of dragons. So first, Harshnag mentions that he thinks he recognizes this dragon because there's an ancient... First of all, he says it's an ancient blue dragon, and he says that he only knows of one like that he's seen in the, on this, like, continent, and it's one that lives somewhere down in the, like, southeast region of the continent, in this, Anarok or something like that desert. So this thing's like way far from home. Yeah. If it's the same dragon, like, who knows? Maybe there's another ancient blue dragon out there and he hasn't seen it yet. Of course, Sabek is itching for a fight and wants to go like track it down and fight it and kill it and all this stuff. And Harshnag says, like, hey, listen, these things.
That's a bad idea.
Yeah, this is a horrible idea. I've seen these things take out like an entire squadron of frost giant rage knights. Like, these things are not joking around. Like, basically DM talk for like, no, this is something you come back to when you're like level 15. You don't do this right now. You guys are not strong enough. Did you remember picking up anything else of significance from that conversation?
I Seeing I know you mentioned the yellow ancient that
Oh yeah.
that was the one that
That
wiped
was
out
the one
the,
that wiped out like his entire squadron of frost giant rage knights.
But other than that, I don't think there's anything else much
Okay.
of value.
I don't remember when this happened, but at some point during this game, Gimbal and Harshnag were in the room with everyone else having a meal, and Gimbal's sword started muttering about like not trusting giants, and Harshnag had a talk with it because he knows this sword because he has fought alongside this particular sword in the past.
This was during breakfast.
Right. So,
because a giant killed the one that the sword left.
Right. So the this is, I don't know if I got this across, but it's this interesting thing where giants are very long-lived. So Harshnag has actually been kind of outcast from his people for ages and has been adventuring alongside little people, and this sword has kind of just been passed from hand to hand, from adventurer to adventurer, and so on more than one occasion, actually, this sword and Harshnag have kind of ended up in the same party, and so this sword's like, listen, all giants are not to be trusted, but this particular giant is, like, better than most, kind of thing. I had to get that out of the way, because otherwise, like, some part of me would be like, but why does the sword not want Gimbal to kill Harshnag if all it wants to do is kill giants? Yeah, so that's why. The sword trusts Harshnag, somewhat. And then I think the only other thing of particular note that happens... Right, this is when some people started to clock out because we were getting a little late. And then we had the meeting with the monks, which is, I think we had a lot of good stuff this level, but I think this was definitely the most, like, emotional and kind of, like, really cool scene we had. Okay, so you guys passed a flock of monks traveling with their own domesticated rock, which is a kind of bird that's, like, the size of a Boeing 747. So, your character, Vanitas, flies out to meet them, and they kind of communicate that they, you know, have been traveling to this castle and wanted to confirm that this is the castle of Zephyros, who is friends with the Aarakocran monks, and not some of the other cloud giants who have been, you know, less friendly with these kinds of monks. They land. We kind of get people together and start having a conversation as they say what their story is, and they reveal that they are from the monastery of Grey Peak, and their monastery was recently taken over by stone giants that lived in the same mountain, who, like, needed it for some reason that they didn't really explain, but basically, these stone giants just, like, took their land for some use in the giant civil war and evicted them, and now they're homeless, and they've been going from monastery to monastery trying to find somebody who, you know, can take them in. And the next place that they're looking is a Tengu monastery located up west of where you guys are, near a place called Raven Rock. And I know you went back and forth with them for a bit, clearing up those details, and you mentioned that your monastery, which we said was located way to the west in the north on this little island called Orlsbarg, that's where you were trained, and that there's lots of space there, and if they need a home, that's like somewhere they can try if they don't have any luck at Raven's Rock.
Exactly.
Yep.
They're a good monastery.
So, then we get this significant scene. Oh, first, you did this like meditation prayer circle with them where you guys summoned a air elemental together, and it went up to each of you and provided a bit of like spiritual insight to each of you, and then kind of like faded away. And that was just a very cool spiritual scene. Thank you for taking the lead on that. I really liked that.
I needed to use that skill at least once.
Yeah, no, that was a very good call. I forgot that you had that, and that was a really good catch. Okay, so we have these two characters that are part of this monastery that we name. One is Father Venelton, who's the leader of the monastery, and the other is actually his son, who... So we're going to say Father Venelton is an owl-type Aarakocran, so he's like a big owl man. Sponsel is his son, and he's a little owl man. And you know those tiny little owls with like the big eyes and the little bodies?
Yeah. Oh, I know what they're called too. I just can't think of it.
Yeah, so that's what we're thinking of for him. So Sponsel kind of latches on to Vanitas, and they get along really well. Sponsel starts like training with him in the afternoons, and they talk a lot. Sponsel's really into this idea when he hears that Vanitas has kind of like left his monastery to travel the world and like, you know, find himself. Sponsel really, you know, connects with that. And then one day after their training, Sponsel, we have this very emotional scene that I cannot do again.
It was...
I was like legit like a little tearing up by like halfway through it. So we have this scene where Sponsel confesses to Vanitas that he's going to run away from the monastery, from his people. And it's something he's been planning for a long time, and he has not been able to talk to anyone about it, and he just wanted somebody to like talk to about it and be understanding. And Vanitas gives him some really good advice, where Vanitas does not discourage him from doing so if it's what he needs to do, but tells him, you know, do it in the right way. You know, don't like make it a secret. Tell people. And you had a good story that went with that. What was that?
So Vanitas, when he left his temple, he didn't tell the monk who treats, and he tried to make sure nobody else did as well until he was gone. And ever since then, it's eaten him up.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want Sponsel to make the same mistake.
Right. And then that's really good. Very emotional scene there. And Sponsel admits that the reason he wants to run away from home is because he, you know, has had this life as a monk put in front of him, and he actually is a very talented monk, but it's not what he cares about. It's not what he's passionate about. It's not what he, you know, feels like he's meant to be. He has actually always felt like he wanted to be a wizard, even though there's like no famous Aarakocran wizards. But he wants to run away, and he wants to go to the city of Neverwinter and study at Neverwinter University and become a great wizard. And he's like a little embarrassed by this, but it's what he feels like he needs to do. So you give him some great advice, and then, you know, a couple days later, as you guys are getting to the Eye of the Allfather, and the monks are getting ready to head off on their own to get to Raven's Rock, you see that Sponsel takes your advice, and he goes and he talks to his father about what he's doing, rather than just running away without telling anyone.
Good kid.
Yep, and we don't get a conclusion on specifically what happens from there, but we see that him and his father are still on relatively good terms as they head out, and he is going with them, at least for the time being.
I gave him a Rocky talk in case he ever reached me.
No, you didn't. You only have 3 of those, and you can't just keep saying, oh, well, so-and-so has a Rocky talkie.
Dang, I didn't give him a Rocky talkie.
You don't have an endless supply of them.
I forgot. Oh, never mind.
But, yeah, I mean, the way that I am personally... The way that I think that this would personally work out is I'm pretty sure he's going to go with his family towards Raven's Raven Rock because that's where that is basically along the way to Neverwinter, and make sure that they get settled, and then he's going to leave on good terms and go down to Neverwinter.
He's also gonna stop by my monastery. Tell
No,
them.
they said that a different monk from that same monastery is going to stop by yours, convey
Oh, okay,
this
good,
message that you had given them to pass on, and also kind of like start making a connection so that they have like an ally at this monastery, whether things don't work out at Raven's Rock or whatever.
Okay.
So that is that's a great, really great bit that we had happen there. And then the one other thing that happens that was pretty cool is you guys are closing in on the entrance to the Eye of the Allfather, and we get this pop-up that I'm showing on my screen now. That is this big icy like entrance, and we talk about how it's going to be very big inside there because the ceilings are like 50 feet high. They're built for they are built to feel grand by giant standards, which means that by like human standards they're just like mind-boggling in size. Now, the one thing that we went over before we ended the game that I thought was really cool was Aeneas, Lunara, talked with Harshnag and said that if Harshnag was going to be, navigating around in this big open space, she wanted a good, like, mobile archery position that she could work from, and she worked with Harshnag and Zephyros and stuff, and built this kind of shoulder-mounted, like, platform that's on like a
hunter's
harness.
Nest.
Like a what?
Hunter's nest.
Yeah, like a hunter's nest built into a backpack, basically. And so, I did not consider the fact that this is actually basically close to like a baby Bjorn.
That's funny.
Okay, so, yeah, so she's gonna have this little like platform around Harshnag's shoulders that she'll be able to like stand on and shoot down at enemies and stuff while Harshnag is running around between encounters in combat. Yeah, I think that was everything.
Yep.
Do you think I missed anything?
Not anything I can think of.
Okay, well, thank you for assisting me with this.
Not a problem. Oh, and Sponsel is a pygmy owl.
Oh,
That's the
let's
kind
get
of
it.
owl
Let's pull this up. Pygmy owl. They look like dorks. Oh god. That is somebody that would leave the monk life to go be a wizard.
Exactly.
It's so good. Okay. Hey, you should add Sponsel in your like character bio as a contact.
As a little brother.
Yeah, as it just say like Sponsel, he's that one owl monk that I met that wants to be a wizard, something like that.
I'll add him in as dad.
Okay. Great. Thank you very much for helping me recap this. I can
Not a problem.
close this recording now. Yeah. All right. I'm closing this out. Thank you for your assistance. I will talk to you probably next week.
Catch you on the flips.
See you, Cody.